Namaste, my friends. Today I just did some kirtan, and I'm gonna talk about some of the things that I learned today in my kirtan experience. So I was really noticing the differences between singing and listening, and how they are very different aspects of what we are, and they very well represent the two sides of what we are. So like the first side is our being side. It's just the state of being, the state of existing, the state of receiving experience and really just being, just being. And then the other side, the other aspect is doing, doing things, action and thinking and processing and cultivating and creating. So it's sort of like there's the receiving, which is the being, you're just like receiving everything. And then there's the doing, which is the action, which is the doing. It's sort of like yin and yang, like that's nice words to describe these two different aspects of who we are and what we do. And so when I was doing kirtan, I was seeing how these two are balanced through the kirtan practice, right? So when you are listening, you are being, you are just receiving. It's a very passive experience. And I mean, there is active listening where you're like actively listening. But in general, listening is more of a being where you just have to sort of be patient and, just be. And the singing is the doing. It is the yang energy, the masculine energy where you're performing and you're using your energy to create the singing. Um, and so kirtan balances these two through that, through first of all having a being aspect to train the listening aspect, and then the doing aspect, the yang, the singing. And then it further balances it because life is a combination of both things, like the whole universe is in the state of existence of being, and this state of existence are like the physical laws. It's just the being, the quality of the universe. And then there is the doing of the universe, atoms moving around, having all these interactions and creating everything that we see. And so there's those two elements are very much wrapped together to produce the universe that we are in, and in ourselves as well. There's our being aspect and our doing aspect, and it's those two combined to create what we are. And this union, this harmony that they are creating, is how to balance both. Like earlier, I was talking about active listening, and in kirtan, this is very important to do active listening, and to bring more yang energy in this yin, very yin aspect of just listening passively. When you transform it into an active listening where you're actively trying to do listening, then it starts changing you. It starts balancing that energy. So it's not just doing full 100% yin that's going to balance the yin energy. It's doing something that's very yin, like listening, and then introducing the yang aspect, which is the active listening, which is very much paying full attention, 100% focus, and just really being present with the listening, and seeing that. And then on the other aspect too, when you're balancing the yang energy, it's not just about singing all the way. It's about trying to be with the singing and trying to listen to the singing and to be with the singing. So again, with the singing too, you're introducing a yin, a more yin focus to this very yang experience of creation. And then that's how you like balance it. So it's sort of like with the listening, you have to do the listening, and then with the singing, you have to be the singing. Even though naturally it's be the listening and do the singing, you have to like balance it by bringing in the other aspect. And this is why, like the yin and yang symbol, like the white part has a little bit of the black part in it, and then the black part has a little bit of the white part in it to create the balance. And so when you're doing kirtan and you're balancing these different aspects of yourself, your yin and yang side, you have to bring some of the other element into it to fully balance it out. And then that is when you get like best fruits. Like you have to be super deep into your practice. Past, I would say intermediate. You have to be intermediate to really appreciate and come in touch with this aspect of, and get the subtle differences between passive listening and active listening, passive singing and active singing. You want to do passive singing and you want to do active listening, which is like the opposite of their true nature. So that was what I was learning about kirtan, and really, this is almost all practices which are on the path. They combine this aspect of balancing the yin and the yang, the two aspects. Even when you're like focusing on the breath, which is like the most basic spiritual practice that there is. This is a very yin experience. The breath, it just happens on its own. It, no matter what you're doing, it is happening. And so when you're introducing this yang, this like passive experience, you bring it and make it into an active experience, then you are balancing the yin and the yang. Even though this is a very yin thing, it happens on its own. You bring that yang energy, you bring the focus and the attention, and you're creating this yin and yang balance thing, which balances your whole being, your whole self. Because, like I said earlier, our whole self is like, can be understood by these two things: being and doing, yin and yang, passive, active, up, down, whatever the balance, right? The scale is that. And so that was what I learned in kirtan today. Hope that helps. Namaste.